This is Dr. Tamia Guest with Rejuvenating Chiropractic.
This is Nara Reed with Modified Nutrition Health Coach.
This is Karen Marcel with June Street Barbershop.
This is Tiffany Marcel with Marcel Luxury Realty, and you're listening to Boss Talk Radio.
I paid the call to be born.
Well, we'll jump right into this one. Normally, as you guys know, we've been doing the different segments of Boss Talk Radio throughout the week, and you haven't seen that this week because it's that time of the year, the lovely tax season, and with S-Corp and partnership deadlines coming up, your boy has been kind of weighed down. But I wanted to drop in on you guys with this part because I see this paradigm in the market that just bewilders me. I just don't get it. So wanted to talk about that a little bit. Let me tell you this. Right now, or if you've already gotten your tax return done for 2020, or if not, take a look at your 2019. Look at what you paid to have that service performed. Divide that number by 52 and set that aside each week so you guys can stop with all of these crazy bank products and all of these different little, nuances or whatever when it's time to have your taxes done. This is something you're going to do every year. It's just like Christmas. You know Christmas is coming every year. You're going to prepare for it and execute. Well, most of you anyway. So, take that, use that same energy toward things you have to cycle through every single year, and also when your situation changes dramatically, especially if you open a business, be prepared that, hey, this is outside of what I'm used to. I may have to pay a little bit more. This is not, for some reason, I guess because there's a low entry grade, sometimes you guys think, well, hey, that's nothing to it or whatever. It should cost me $100 or $200. Well, I'm going to be the first one to tell you, I'm not your cheapest option. I'm your best value, but I'm not your cheapest option. This has been 5 minutes of fire. We're going to get right into this thing when we come back.
Welcome to Boss Talk Radio, the #1 online business and entrepreneurial talk show. Brought to you by Elite 8 Tax and Financial Services. Here's your host, the Texas tax expert, George Dandridge.
So I'm in that place, how when you start going to the gym and at first you're like real sore, and then a few weeks down the line, you start to see a little bit of result. You have that motivation and excitement, kind of just won't show off your one little cut or whatever. I'm in that space with some projects that I have going on, some things I had started back at the end of 2020, and I'm starting to see these things kind of come together. But I'm not at a place where I can start to reveal it yet or tell you guys about it. But it's real exciting in the areas of education and more media stuff. But y'all going to see it come to fruition. But anyway, welcome to Boss Talk Radio. Glad to have you, the #1 business and entrepreneur talk show, where we always bring you the giants from every industry and let them tell you about their best practices, their journey along the way, and how they reach the point of success. Today's guest is, there was no other words we could find other than empire builder. He has not only found a way to create success for himself and his family, he has invested or positioned himself to now give that back to everybody else and teach others how to do it. Welcome to the show, Mr. Derrick Harper Sr. How you doing, sir?
Hey, what's going on, King? Man, I'm just heading back to the house, and I'm just definitely excited to be here to just be able to pour in and have a good conversation with you today. What about yourself?
I'm doing fantastic. Congratulations! I saw you. You surprised baby girl yesterday. Or day
Man,
before.
yeah, she was a little mad at me the day before because I just impromptu, because we needed room in the driveway, and I told her, hey, we got to sell your car. So she was a little down, but she didn't know we already had planned to get her the car that we were going to get her yesterday.
That was a real king move. I like that one.
Yeah, she's been doing well, man. She made a commitment. I told her if she go through with the AP schedule, because it's gonna be competitive. She wants to go to law school and is trying to get into Harvard and all kind of crazy stuff. And so I told her with that GPA, you're gonna need those AP classes because people getting in with an average of 4.3, 4.4. You gotta be competitive. So she took it on, man, and made all A's, and I just wanted to reward her with something.
Well, it's awesome that a plan was put together. I actually was going over a post I put out a couple days ago. Sometimes people want to debate pointless things, but it talked about not putting our kids out at 18 without sure footing and a sound plan, or what have you. And sometimes, we want to allow college to serve as a plan when first and foremost everybody is in college material, and secondly, that's not a plan, that's a step.
Right.
So, but for those that don't know you, that haven't been following you like myself, tell everybody a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Yeah, so this is a question that I always stumble on because I hate talking about myself, so I'm not really always equipped to answer this. But I'm just a humble servant. I came from a background of we really didn't have a silver spoon, but I had hardworking parents. One of the main things that my mom always embedded into me was make sure that my servant's room is bigger than my ego. So just lead with a servant's heart. So everything that I've done and accomplished, from joining the Air Force all the way to just building businesses and service based, such as credit repair, and then founding the Credit Repair University, founding Point Boosters, founding pretty much not just going down all the businesses, but a lot of service based businesses to be able to help people get to where they need to, because I just live on the principle of if you help enough people get to where they need to get, then you're going to get what you need. So the amount of money that I'm going to make is going to always be directly proportionate to the amount of problems I solve. So I'm just on a mission to solve as many problems as possible. So I'm the founder of the Credit Repair University, Point Boosters, Tech Boosters, and on. But most of all, I'm just the founder of being a good servant. That's it.
There's so many things that came of that, so many questions I want to ask based on that little segment, because I know that there's a lot more to it or whatever. I remember the first time I tuned into one of your videos, and I was calling it the lab, but it really, like, you had it set up like a coach's room, complete with the locker room, the chalkboards.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, he's serious with this thing. But why do you believe that entrepreneurship has, and the concept of being a business owner, has become so popular, yet people have not gone about it in the thought process that you have, where I'm going to solve a problem, or I'm going to help someone else get to where they need. The approach seems to be, I'm going to hang a sign on Friday, on Monday I'll be rich, and on Wednesday I'll buy a Bentley.
That's it. And what I think is, I think social media plays a huge part in everybody wanting popcorn results, right? It's easy to go on and get introduced to somebody who's already verified, already has 100,000 followers. Struggle. And I want to get that. So a lot of people, their goals are set to somebody else's success, but their goals aren't aligned with somebody else's driving where they work. So I think that a lot of people get caught up into thinking that it should happen with them next week versus I got to put in that same amount of grind to be able to get where I need to get.
And we missed a part of that. I think you might have gone through a bad area or something, but the summation is basically you're saying that people are too often basing their success off of someone else's success.
Can you hear me?
Now we can, yeah.
Okay, it kind of went out a little bit. Can you say that one more time?
I said you had cut out for a moment. I think you broke through a bad area. So I wanted to try to make sure I surmise what you said is that a large problem is that people base their success off of other people's success.
That's exactly what they do. And I was guilty of it. I'm not going to sit here and act like I didn't do that. They would do that as well. But, I had a rude awakening and a lesson. I started hiring coaches and thinking that, oh, man, if I hired this coach, I'll be exactly what this coach had next week, without looking at what they even went through. So it's easy to look at a success story and, you'll start realizing and peeling back layers and noticing that people don't really tell you their failures. And that's why when you always see me talking, I always lead from where I failed at and how I overcame it and then how I'm going to use that to actually get people where they need to be, because that's the untold story. And that's kind of the hiccup of where people are, because everybody, if you look at their Instagram and their social media, they're living their best life. They're not talking about. They ain't telling you they going through that divorce. They ain't telling you that they up on the investigation from the IRS. They ain't telling you that all of these things are going on. So when you look at it, you're just seeing the fruits of their labor without seeing the struggles. And then when the bad part hits, then that's when everybody quits. So, and that's a phrase that my coach always said: when the bad part hits, that's when everybody quits, because they're looking at the fruits. So they're grinding only for the fruit, and they ain't willing to put up that struggle, because they don't see that struggle. So they're not willing to really put it up.
So what are some of the struggles that you've encountered? Because I tell everybody, the whole purpose of this show is to show people that have gone through it, oftentimes haven't gotten it out the mud, because I think it's necessary for people to know that, hey, this overnight success took 10 years, or it took many, many failures to get to this place. And failure does, has a different effect on different people. For some people, it takes them out the game. For other people, they learn from it, they grow from it, and they keep it moving. What are some of the failures that are some of the downtimes or what have you that kind of bruised you and kind of whipped you into conditions so you could get it?
Man, I wish I would have knew you. I wish I'd have had access to enrolled agents, because, I come from the dirt. I got it out the dirt for real. And, I came from, we didn't have a silver spoon. And it was, nobody taught financial literacy and things like that. So it's kind of hard to tell a person not to try to shine or do this and that when they struggled the whole time they came up. So by not having access to you, when I started hiring people, I started paying them under the table, because I didn't have that right structure and things like that. And then how it goes when you hire people and pay them under the table because they got to get their benefits because they're single moms, and you thinking you doing them a favor, and now all of a sudden you report you and our all kind of penalties and money and things like that, because I didn't have a person that taught me the right ways to set the taxes up, the right ways to file them, the right ways to run the business the proper way, until the IRS came in and just stuck me with a penalty that took me a whole year just to pay back and work myself out of that. And that was one of the things that almost completely took me out of the game, but the good thing about it now is they have, people have access to you. People have access to get it done the right way through social media, and when it wasn't available.
You kind of broke up there, Derrick. I think your screen froze. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you now. Look, I was trying to, I bought a whole nother charger. I don't know why in the world I had it in and thought it was on the charger before it's supposed to be 100%. So we detoured him to make sure I catch this charger before this phone gets at 5%.
Okay, so the thing is I don't know what year you went through that, but today everybody has the $1,500 paperweights, the I-52 phones and everything.
Yeah.
So with so much information at people's fingertips, people like yourself that not only, well, we're going to get into the credit part in a second, but with so much information there, why do people still choose to either not seek it or seek it from non-qualified people? What's been your
Because
experience with that?
bad information goes viral so much, and people believe in the low hanging fruit, which means that if it
Ah,
looks like I can just push a button and it's gonna happen for me, let's make that go viral. Like for instance, somebody can literally say, "Hey, you don't want to pay the IRS? Just go and do this, 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 and this, and you'll never have to pay the IRS back." And you'll be looking at it saying, "Oh, you about to go to prison, right?" But they'll look at it and
happens
say,
every day.
"Wow, this is the game." And then those people get blue checks on Instagram. Those people go viral. Those people gain a big following because the information they're given is really a hustle. It's really illegal. It's a one-step button. So that's what people want. People don't understand and they don't really appreciate or respect process. So when doing it the right way might take longer, right? But it's gonna protect you forever, right? So the thing is people don't really care about the process. They just want it done overnight and they want it fixed and they want the problem solved. So it's easier for them to jump on bad information because the bad information is what makes the convenience sound good, but it's not right information a lot. So therefore, you got all these tax people telling people, go buy this and go do this and go do that, and you can write this off and write that off and go, and people will fall for it. And because they don't want to pay taxes for one, right? Nobody really wants to pay taxes. And it's convenient. So even in the credit repair side, we get that a lot where people say, hey, go and just dispute online, go to Credit Karma and dispute without realizing that you waiving the rights upon the Section 35 that states that you opting out of being able to join a class action and you opted into arbitration, which means that the same law that I can use to get this account deleted, you mean to tell me if I dispute online, I get to waive that? But I have to waive that. So the people will go online and say, hey, just do it that way. Or just pay your credit card bill twice in a month to trick the system into thinking that it's two payments. And people will make that go viral, but that's not the right information. So it's just easy to make bad information go viral fast because people looking for convenience or they looking for a fast way before embracing the process. And that's why people who go through the process get rewarded a lot more.
If I'm sitting inside the office here now on the recording side, and even though I only have a window right here that's closed, if I throw a rock, I'm going to hit somebody that alleges to be a credit repair agent. What is the immense popularity? Well, this is a two-part question because I don't want to leave you. One, what's the immense popularity in quote-unquote credit repair? And then the other part is why is in the process, why aren't many people teaching that, you have to change the paradigm, like fixing the credit in and of itself only puts you right back there if you go out and conduct the same behaviors. Nobody's talking about, well, I'm just not going to say nobody because there's a handful of you, the ones that I really pay attention to that's really qualified. But why is nobody talking about how to leverage credit and how to, like, the biggest thing out, the biggest confusion out here right now, and I know you get this every day, is how do you build business credit without using your personal credit? And there's a million pieces of wrong information out there. Can you drop some on us?
Yeah, so I'm glad you asked that question too, because a lot of people are throwing. So when a person comes in, and a lot of people would actually ask them the questions of, hey, well, when they come in and they say, hey, I want my credit repaired, I went through this, went through that.
First thing they'll tell them is, all right, we'll go ahead and get started and do this and get started and do that. But they won't ask them the questions of what got you into this in the first place. Because a lot of people are so quick to get a dollar that they'll take every client, and then they want the clients to pay X amount of dollars a month so that they can build $1 million company, right? Without changing the mindset of the client to say, all right, before we even get started here, what are your goals? Let's work on those goals first, because credit is just a tool, right? Most people never wake up and say, I want my credit repaired. They don't wake up and say, hey, I want to build business credit. They come and they say, I want to build it because I want to do this. I want a house. I want a car. I want this and I want that. So the problem with that is, excuse me if I had to jump out because I'm trying to go in here and get this charger before this phone dies. But the problem with that is you will start to work on their credit. You'll start to actually get things together, but then they still don't have the goals of what they need to accomplish in doing that, right? So they go right back down the same path. And then you also have the people who telling them, hey, well, run and let's build business credit, let's build business credit, let's build business credit, without even giving them a direct goal of what they need to use the business credit for as well. And a lot of people think that, oh man, I'm going to just go and get all of this imaginary funding without good personal credit or without having any kind of personal guarantee towards it, when businesses are the biggest risk to the lending game in the first place, especially new businesses, right? So now you're not really equipping them with the right information. You're just telling them, hey, go ahead and build it and get $300,000 from a bank, even when you got bad personal credit. When the banks are not just giving liquid money out, or just giving unsecured money out like that without needing a personal guarantee on it in the first place. So this is why, and those are the things that I always teach my coaching class as well, to make sure that you're goal oriented with the people that you're trying to help, and that you're not just throwing it out there, telling them that they can get this and get that because the soundbite sounds good.
Yeah, and I really see a lot of that. And you touched on something. I only recently discovered how bad it was when we got into this government funding with the PPP and EIDL and things of that nature. And that was a lot of businesses really don't, or business owners rather, small business owners really don't even know what a balance sheet is. And they're pursuing this credit. And I don't know where this mantra came from, but there's this kind of idea out here that basically if you go and get business credit, you can buy whatever you want in the business's name. And then somehow, because it's supposed to be allegedly for business, you never have to pay it back because you write it off on your taxes. Where did this foolishness come from? Uh-oh, look like we lost you there. Okay, we'll be, looks like we lost Derrick for a moment. We're going to take a quick commercial break and we'll be back right after this.
The U.S. government has given billions of dollars to businesses in an effort to curb the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. The government will begin to pursue recouping these funds in 2021. Aggressive penalties will be imposed on companies that do not follow regulations and guidelines for proper use of these funds. Criminal charges are already being levied on fraudulent use. Don't suffer again. Get a customized business operations success suite from Elite 8 Tax and Financial Services for your company today. BOSS packages include entity formation, payroll, accounting and bookkeeping, tax planning, tax filings, and quarterly strategy sessions to minimize your tax liability, increase efficiency, and maximize your profits. Make your appointment today at elite8financial.com. Get the guidance, tools, and protection your business needs now. Get BOSS. Get behind the shield.
Shout out to my man Dave Anderson with Business Bully TV over there doing big things. We are back on Boss Talk Radio with Mr. Derrick Harper Sr. We had a little breakup going on with the connection, but that just tells you were about to get some great jewels or whatever. The devil was doing his thing. So right before the break, Derrick, I was asking, where did this mindset come from that you can go out, get business credit, buy whatever you want under the quote-unquote business name, and then not have to pay it back because you're writing it off on your taxes when you don't even understand what a balance sheet is?
Right. And see, and that's so once again, the entitlement mindset or the popcorn mindset where everyone wants something. I'm not going to say everyone, where we're teaching people to want something without sacrifice or without putting something in. So a lot of people are getting to where they expect things to happen where they don't have to pay it back. So there were legitimate ways to do things, but when people started to use legitimate ways, create loopholes and turn them into a hustle, then therefore now they are the ones directly responsible for banks strengthening or tightening their lending guidelines, right? Because now when you get it, just look at Navy Federal, for instance, right? Everybody was on the Navy Federal hustle. Hey, just go ahead. You don't have less than perfect credit. As long as you only got one blemish on there, boom, 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 they give you $24,000 limit. That's until all the people start getting $24,000 limits and then not paying them back. And then now it's almost impossible to get a limit starting out over $8,000 with them, right? Because they knew exactly what people were doing. So now when people are running out, building going through tier 1, going through tier 2, and going through the tiers of business credit, and then thinking they're going to burn the banks, those lending guidelines have really gotten tough, because now banks aren't trying to give anybody any kind of money that they don't have to have direct collateral attached to on business credit without looking for a personal guarantee now. So a lot of people have been throwing them in to where they expecting them to go get money, and then knowing that these people aren't going to pay it back, because then you got two sides of it. You got the people who are offering funding, and then you got the people who are even doing the credit repair side of them. So now the hustle was, let me do your credit and then let me get you funded. You get $30,000 limit. I'm gonna get 20% of that. If you already got $6,000 out of them getting $30,000, you already know in the back of your mind that they don't intend to pay that $30,000 back, or they wouldn't even give you $6,000, because now they're going to have high interest on it in the first place. So you're not looking in their best interest. You're looking in the fact that I need my 20% because they just going to burn these accounts, but you're setting the next generation up for failure, because now the banks are not going to be lenient at all in lending. So you're destroying the market that you so-called are expert in. And that's what a lot of people are doing in these business credit industries and all of that. And they're not even teaching them how to even, profit and loss statements, balance sheets, anything like that. They don't even teach them that. What they're trying to teach them is, let's go through these tiers. Let's get this money. You burn it out. You pay me mine. I'm going about my business. And that's what's happening. And it's putting a bad name on the industry as well.
And then what a lot of people don't understand is then there's the aftermath, because, you can't, report, for Section 8 and this and that and the other, and then tell IRS you ain't made no money. And, then you get one of these cancellation notices from the bank or whatever, and now that's become income.
Yep. I'm glad you said that. So that's even the ones, the average person even they think that, I got an LLC, not realizing until you freaking go and get the file, 2553 or something like that, to be separated from the business. More than really a sole proprietor at that point. So that now when this is hitting, those cancellations are hitting you, you got to claim it on your 1040. You got to claim it on your personal income tax return, which means, and a lot of people, I'm glad you said that, because I've seen so many people, and I can vouch for that. I see so many people set it up that way, thinking that they're a business, thinking that they're a corporation, and then telling people, if you file as an LLC, you can just build that credit, walk away from it, and then want to tax to you. You get that cancellation of debt. And then now you think you're separate from the business. They sent you a cancellation of debt. You done ran up $100,000 in debt in that business. You get a cancellation of debt, $100,000 income that you got to put on your regular 1040 that you're putting on there, so that when they give you that, now you got $100,000 of income that you made that's not, well, you know, that you got to pay taxes on, basically. And if you don't pay taxes, because people out there telling them, oh, they can't come after your house because you're an LLC. They might come after your house as an LLC if you are a real corporation. But if you owe Uncle Sam on your personal tax return, they can do anything. The IRS got the power to pretty much do anything. You ain't worrying about the banks at that point. You worry about the IRS for this money that you got to claim on your income tax that you owe the IRS. Now you got this lien, and once you get that, they can come and pretty much take anything from you.
Now, shameless plug, at that point, that's where you have to call me, and you better have some of that $100,000 left, because that's the side that is not cheap.
Oh, and that's why I was saying, I don't know if I broke up earlier. If I had you first, I would probably be worth $50 million right now. So, and the thing is like,
let's talk about a part of that, because one of the things that I hear oftentimes, when I'm talking to business owners is, as soon as I start making whatever fictitious number that is they have in their head that they deem to be successful, that's when I'm going to hire an accountant. That's when I'll hire a bookkeeper. That's when I'll get a tax person. That's when I'll get an attorney or whatever. And it's like all of those components actually, I tell people this all the time. We pay for ourselves.
Yeah. So listen, I can honestly tell you, I can't tell you the exact amount of money I saved behind having an accountant, because I don't want people in my business like that, because people crazy. But it's not even the fact that you pay for yourself. Y'all pay for yourself 5 to 10 times over. Mm-hmm. So you cannot afford not to have an attorney, a CPA, or an accountant, or an attorney or a CPA. Or a bookkeeper, period. It's no way that you can afford. I would even go on record to say you don't intend to grow if you don't hire them first.
Oh,
you don't plan to grow. You're hoping to grow. Anybody who plans to grow has to have that. There's no way you can grow without it. And you got to also realize that you need to get one early so that they can develop with you as well. Don't just go in when it's emergency and just throw 100 hours or 200 hours of work towards an accountant and then get pissed off when they want to charge you with those 200 hours at a $200 an hour or $300 an hour, because you're looking at $60,000. No, that's $300 an hour at 200 hours, or $400. Some accounts $1,000, depending, right? So, but then you get mad at them. But you done went around and now you owe the IRS $700,000, but you mad at this person for wanting $60,000 to fix your problem, and you still don't get it yet. So the way that I look at it is, when I was a $500,000 a year business, and then when I made 8 figures last year, that accountant has been there. Now it's easier to get an accountant to be there from that 500,000, even 100,000. You need an accountant, right? So if that person is with you at $100,000 a year in your business, right? By the time you at a $10 million business, because I hear a lot of people give the bad information of, when you grow, you got to change your accountant. No, when you grow, your accountant can build their team around that. Now that accountant has a bookkeeper, that accountant has this. Now, by the time you're a $10 million company, you got a CFO. And so you took your account from an accountant to a CFO, and you have a whole, you have a whole billing side. So you go from a billing department, you go just whatever. So now,
and at that point, you're talking about somebody that's exchanging for a stake in the company with a salary versus an hour. So you're still getting more than the value that you put out there.
Because to prevent, and it's just simple math. Why wouldn't I give my CFO 10% of the money when, if I don't, I'm gonna be paying Uncle Sam 30% of the money? Come on. I mean, it's just simple math, right? $300,000 at risk versus $100,000 a year salary. $10 million, $3 million at risk versus $1 million salary. And then with that $1 million salary, they can build a team and still probably put a team together that they need in that department for lower than $500.
Dedicated team, by the way.
Right, dedicated to you and your business. Yeah,
right.
And it's crazy. So, but the average person don't have that mindset of, and I don't want to tell, I mean, people that look like me, I know a lot in business.
We don't do filters on Boss Talk Radio.
Okay, well, I'm just saying, my people, right? A lot of time is because I coach across. I got a lot of different clients, but one of the missing pieces of a lot of my coaching clients and where they start going downhill on is they look at the prices when it comes to the accounting side. The most important side of your business is the money, because that's what you got to have that float. If you don't do it right, Uncle Sam stop you from making it. You out of here, right? Why in the world when I got people that I got coaching clients that made $5 million last year that don't want to dedicate $500,000 a year to accounting. And they say, well, that should go towards taxes. No, your taxes will be handled the right way if you get the right. I would rather give you if I had a $5 million a year company, I would rather give you the $500,000 right that year. And I know I'm still gonna have some taxes, but I'm gonna let you do your thing, because now out of this other $2 million that's at risk right here, you're gonna make sure I get the right credits to out of that $200,000. I'm gonna probably save over $1 million. Out of that $2 million that's at risk, I'm gonna probably save over $1 million, because now there's a lot of things that I can reallocate my funds towards, because now I got the expertise of the right person that's gonna be able to do it. But because I'm the talent in the business, I'm the CEO and the visionary, I don't have time to worry about the whole accounting side.
If you're just joining us, we're talking with Mr. Derrick Harper, the Empire Builder, and you guys hear me. And what I'm glad about, because this was not intended to be a part of the conversation, and Derrick is just actually going in on the importance of not only accounting, but everything he just talked about was a matter of tax planning, which I tell you guys about every year, and that's being proactive versus reactive. And too often what you guys do is you go through the year, and then at the end of the day, you go and talk to something like a tax professional and tell them you don't want to pay taxes, and they come up with all of these fictitious numbers and whatnot that can't be substantiated. And when you get that CP notice or whatever, and you come to talk to me, and they'll start asking you about your balance sheets and your P&Ls and your different data lines and stuff, and for all of these different accounts, and you have just expenses flying out, but you can't substantiate that they're for the business. He also talked about when you guys are, and I wanted to kind of make a U-turn and come back to this when I'm conscious of the time, because I'm thankful that you're here, by the way.
I don't have anything for the rest of the day, so I'm here with you.
So I want to make a U-turn and go back to this part about, you talked about how people are commonly following this information on social media about filing LLCs and what have you, and the true limitations of them versus having been a sole proprietor. And I see, I don't know the last time my eyes opened and I went on social media and did not see a post where somebody asked, how do you form an LLC? And 300 people said, don't pay somebody, do it yourself. You can do it online at your Secretary of State. And I'm going to let you talk about this a minute, because when I try to get into that, people say, well, oh, you're saying that because you sell the service.
Oh, man. Yes.
And then there's that flip side where, okay, so now you chose to think I was trying to just sell you something. You have these 3 pieces of documents that mean diddly squat, and now you can't figure out why you can't get business credit, or you don't go into the conversations of trust or whatever, because people looking at you crazy because you have these bootleg documents. Or worse, you filed a C corporation in California, ready to get your head bust open.
Yes.
Or even the part, like I started at the top of the hour, and I think this is about where we got cut off, like when the government start throwing all of this money out there and my phone started blowing up like, hey, I need to get a P&L for the last year or whatever, because I'm trying to apply for this loan. Oh, did you have a business last year? Well, I just filed it the other day. What the hell?
I've even seen some, man. So I got a friend I use that friend word too lightly. I'm friends with everybody, but I got an acquaintance that I know from social media. But we met at a few conferences. While we was at the conference, I ate at him and his wife's. His fiance's house. She can cook. He can grill. Like really good dude. And he was going down like the whole social media play, buying all these shelf corporations that didn't operate. But it was in business, but they didn't operate. And he was filing all this fictitious paperwork to get these people all this EIDL and PPP money. And they just picked them up. And he still haven't posted bond yet.
For the people in the back, one more time, what just happened?
Yeah, so a buddy of mine was in groups listening to other people saying, oh man, if you want to run the play, buy a shelf corporation and then use that shelf corporation to build to put a PPP application in, and we'll put all the paperwork together for you. So what he was doing is filing all of this fictitious paperwork on these shelf corporations that really wasn't an operation, because these people was buying these shelf corporations, going and amending the name on it. So when they was putting the applications in, they would go ahead and approve it. Of course, they got a little more guidelines in there this year, but he got picked up. And he's facing up to 30 years, man, if they convict him on all of them. But he really has no ground to stand on and fight, because by the time they came to him, they had all of the text messages, they had the emails, they had proof of him filing the fake paperwork. He had a connection with the person at the bank that he was pushing the paperwork through to, all of that. So they all about to go down. And the thing is I had the conversation with him about not having that, because one thing they don't play about, especially the SBA, when they investigate and find out that you're using the business the wrong way and creating fraud with it and fictitious paperwork, you might even have a good heart and a good intention, but it's still fraud when you submit paperwork that that wasn't the right paperwork.
Federal fraud. Let's put
federal fraud. It's federal fraud, because that's a federal return. Right. And people, no. Anytime you file on a business return, 1128, anything, right? That's all federal. So it's a federal charge. And, he panicking like, no, bro, it was just a hustle. No, you're going to prison. Like it's nothing to play with, because white collar crimes is a little more serious than the little blue collar crimes. Right. And so playing with your business and your tax is always a white collar crime, something that may be simple of just doing it the right way. Like if I hired you, I'm pretty sure it was a way that you can show me how to take money from the business, invest in real estate from the business, or just reallocate it the legal way, right? To reallocate assets, right? So that the liability left over for Uncle Sam to get reduces. So I'm trying to say that in a way that doesn't sound like we're trying to scheme. There's actually legal ways to, use
I tell people all the time.
Right.
There's tax avoidance, which is perfectly legal.
Right.
And then there's tax evasion, in which they'll build the jail on top of you.
Exactly.
And these are not the same thing. And, people that operate in integrity, they won't even murk the line because the risk is not worth it. Case in point, you were able to share a moment the other day on camera with your daughter celebrating her accomplishment with the straight A's. I'm willing to guess, I could be wrong, but you don't strike me as the type of guy that would trade that moment at the risk of a few $1,000s and sit in jail for.
No. I mean,
value. What people have to understand is that value is not always a monetary amount, and you have to really know what defines you and what you really want, because as you mentioned earlier on in the show, the things that come across quick, they're usually not sustainable
at all.
And it makes it very, very difficult for somebody to grow. And I'm so glad you drove this point home about hoping to grow and planning to grow, because it's a big difference. One is an active campaign.
Yep.
One is very, very reactionary and allows you to fall, for lack of better words, victim to every opportunity or perceived opportunity that comes about. I don't think there's a week go by where I don't get a call and somebody wants to sell me something or talk about how I can add income to my business and so forth and so on. And it's like, if you had spent 4 minutes on my profile, you would understand that, number one, this doesn't align with what I do. Number two, I got too much going on to get out of my race and go get into another lane.
I even got a phrase for him. I tell him, like, hey, I'm not currently looking for a football coach, because some people are football coaches online, always got a new play to run. Always. So, and the thing is when you see it, like, man, coach, what's the play? All right, this is what's going on. So you got those kind of entrepreneurs called entrepreneur hustlers, right? So, football, aka football coaches. So when you hear me refer to somebody as a football coach, that's a person that's not really an entrepreneur. It's just a person that's going with the flow. Any trending thing that's going on, you see them in it. You will see them telling people, hey, go get upturn and dispute that everything is in litigation without even letting them know that due to Section 605, those accounts will get suppressed and not deleted. And then when they come back out of the suppression period, they'll never be able to get them deleted again until the whole period. Because those people, get it removed in TransUnion 24 hours. Those are the football coaches, right? Because those will be the same people out here trying to get 20% of everybody, 30% of everybody money for a PPP application that they falsified the paperwork to, right? They got a new play. They got a new hustle going. They're a football coach. Now, nobody telling you to not charge. I mean, if you're going to do a PPP as a service and you're doing it on the up and up and you legit, can't nobody bother you about it. But when you start to falsify stuff, and so that's what's starting to happen to a lot of people, though. Like, these football coaches got these plays and they come. I have to block them out left and right. But the thing is when it sounds too good to be true, it's always too good to be true. And a newcomer to a business, you got to watch them go over that cycle over and over. It's like, all right, they're a newbie, they're going to fall for it. But see, you've been seasoned enough to know BS when you see it. But you're still political. We don't want to start no argument by saying, hey, bro, that's BS, right? So what we just do is we bow out gracefully. But the thing is a lot of people, for anybody that's watching this, I would say always go back and see if that person was talking about things a few years ago. Come on about it now, because everybody who seems to have this secret sauce, go back on their profile 4 years ago to see what they was doing. You'll see the ones, because a scam can't ever outlive the right way of doing business, right? Now, there's a difference between somebody hate, and character will always outlast hearsay. Those two things. So a person could come and say, hey, man, Mr. Dangerous, man, he sucked, he a scam, he this and he that, right? That's hearsay. Because his character is always going to outlast that, because the haters are not going to stick around in the industry long enough to keep hating. But also, the scam artist is coming in that's trying to compete with him. You ain't going to be able to go back 4 years and see that they've been talking about the same thing, because scams don't live long. So therefore, if you see somebody that's doing it 4 or 5 years, 6 years, 10 years, and whatever, and you can go back and vouch for that, those are the ones that you should be following, not somebody that just popped up with some overnight success thing or with some kind of new play of how to get you out of taxes or how to get your credit repaired and this and that overnight. You need to start running from that stuff, because though, you're getting it from a football coach.
We got to recap that. That was so much fire, I couldn't even type it in fast enough. We had the football coaches running different plays. What was this other one you said?
Character will always outlast hearsay.
Character will always outlast hearsay.
And a scam company can never survive as long as the real deal.
Wow. Derrick up here preaching, y'all. Y'all better pass the collection plate or whatever. We're going to put his site up and everything for you guys to follow him on social media and all. We're going to talk about his books. We're going to talk about what credit really means in the industry itself as far as credit repair goes. And we're going to talk about all of that right after a quick break.
Finding your brand space in this ever-changing economy can be challenging to new and established businesses. Graphic Line Media can help launch your business's brand potential to unknown places with creative revisioning that relentlessly presses the competition. From graphic design, web, print, apparel, media, and social, we have something designed to grow your business. Don't hesitate. Rule your space. Visit Graphic Line Media at graphiclinemedia.com or join our Facebook page at Graphic Line Media to get special discounts and offers.
This is Dr. Tamia Guest with Rejuvenating Chiropractic.
This is Nara Reed with Modified Nutrition Health Coach.
This is Karen Marcel with June Street Barbershop.
This is Tiffany Marcel with Marcel Luxury Realty, and you're listening to Boss Talk Radio.
I paid the cost to be born.
We're back with Mr. Derrick Harper. Right before the break, you reminded me of that old T.I. song, Paperwork. You guys better start to check the history and the receipts, as the young people say, about these overnight people on social media. 100,000 followers does not equate to 100,000 success stories, or even 10 for that matter. It just means they got the algorithm or whatever right. So we're going to let Derrick go into the credit part about that, but I can tell you guys that when you're looking at someone alleging to be any sort of a financial industry person, especially as it relates to taxation or claiming to be a tax professional, here's some of the dead giveaways. Go to their business page. First of all, if they don't have one, that's a strike.
Yeah.
Second, when you get to their business page, if you don't see a post between April and January, they don't do this for real.
Right.
So, secondly, on their personal page, when you go to their About section, there should be something there that indicates that this is what they do. If instead what you see is that they sell flat tummy tea, hair extensions, have a food truck, and 15 other side hustles, what this means is that more likely than not, right when it's tax time, they go out and they purchase some over-the-counter consumer-level software, and they're doing your taxes in that manner. And those types of softwares aren't even equipped for serious tax returns, especially business returns. At the most, you may get the sole prop return into there, and then there's some considerations there. If you have a business and you get ready to engage in one of these services and they do not ask you for these 3 pieces of information, go the other way. If they do not ask you for your previous year return, your profit and loss, and your balance sheet, go the other way.
Run.
So, Derrick, when it comes to your industry, if I understood this correctly, you've actually developed sort of a proprietary type of all-in-one, built-for-you type of system that allows not only other people to get into the industry, but also reduces the lack of minutia and lack of integrity that kind of protects the consumer as well. But you didn't just wake up and do that overnight. You going through the steps. So tell us about some of the traps of your industry, things people should watch for, how to not get taken advantage of by, the unscrupulous.
Yeah, I think anybody that's telling you that you and that it's going to be less, 2 days, 3 days, 9 days, like when they throwing time out, because if you even look at the laws, a part of the Fair Credit Reporting Act, mainly Section 1681I, the procedures in the based on reinvestigation, because an investigation has to happen before it even hits your file. Anytime you dispute, it's called a reinvestigation, right? So 1681I covers that and lets you know you can dispute and you have these rights. So what people do is they come in and they take advantage of that and they say, hey, we can get accounts deleted in 2-3 days. Let me go ahead and go on record and say, unless it's identity theft, there's no way account can pop off that fast. And if it does pop off that fast, it's not considered a deletion, it's considered a suppression, right? So a lot of people actually think that the accounts are just floating on that their score is just there, that these accounts are just floating out there, and that's not true. What happens is when you do all these people are doing is they're going to the ftc.gov, claiming identity theft on your behalf, and then getting that account suppressed. The suppression period, due to Section 605, it states that the bureaus basically have to give you the benefit of the doubt until they proved that it wasn't identity theft. But the burden of proof is on you to prove that it was identity theft too. So what happens is a lot of people think that, oh man, these accounts fell off. So what happens, your score, nobody walks around with a credit score. You walk around with data and information from the bureaus. The bureaus can't control your score. That's controlled by FICO. It's a separate entity from Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. So FICO is Fair Isaac Corporation. It was founded in 1956 by Bill Fair and Earl Isaac, hence Fair Isaac Corporation, right? One was a data scientist, one was a mathematician. They met in the Navy and they created an algorithm, right? But they didn't have data to score that algorithm on because their goal was to give something to the banks that was going to be able to have the banks, assess risk. So when account gets suppressed due to filing that false identity theft report, that means that when the bank or when your scoring model pulls that, it's going to automatically not include the information that's suppressed. Because you claimed identity theft, they're going to give you the benefit of the doubt and suppress that account to not show it, which means that now those are negative accounts that's not showing. So it's going to simulate that your score is higher. So then that's when you think my score went up 100 points in 5 days from this person. Not realizing that after that suppression period, when it gets re-reported because you didn't file a real police report because and you made payments on that account and all of that, then it pops back up to where you can't remove it. It's going to have to run its full 7 years, right? Now you're stuck with that account that was 2 years old for the next 5 years, and you can never go in and say, oh, you disputed it wrong and this and that. So these people are tricking you into giving up your rights of after the suppression to come back. So anybody that's telling you that, hey, faster than 30 days is 15 days, we getting results in 9 days, and you believe in that, the only thing that can get deleted in that period is nothing. It can only get suppressed within that investigation period because they got to have and give people due diligence to speak within that period. So always run from somebody who's saying credit sweeps, because a sweep means that they're going through and they're using illegal tactics, and run away from people who are talking about selling you trade lines, right? Because that does another thing, especially if you're trying to buy a house and you buy a trade line from somebody, you might just actually be committing mortgage fraud. And I know a lot of people say, oh, it ain't that deep. I've been in the industry long enough. You're listening to people who you can't go back 6 years, 7 years and see that they was doing this, because they rags the richest story of how they was working at a restaurant 2 years ago might sound good, but they didn't see the wave of people who went to prison that we saw over a decade ago in this industry, over 10, over 12, over 13 years ago in the same industry for the same thing that y'all are doing. Because now they're selling you trade lines, telling you that you can use this to enhance your score. Two things just happened though. That bank did not authorize you to resell their product, which means that now you're infringing on their IP, their intellectual property, because now you're telling people that you selling American Express trade lines, Barclays trade lines, Bank of America trade lines, when they haven't authorized you to resell their product, right? You also are selling a bank product when you're not registered by the FDIC. You're not even registered to be able to resell or sell a bank product because you can't insure it in the first place, right? So therefore, now you're violating those. And third of all, you're actually creating what's called a racket. And like I said, I got another couple people that I personally know through groups that's actually did prison time behind this. Because what happened, a racket, if you look at the definition of racketeering and you look at what a racket is, that's giving people access to something that they wouldn't have access to under normal measures. So if you create activity in a group activity to be able to help people get access to money or funds that under normal circumstances they wouldn't, hence I'm selling you a trade line so that you can actually fraud Chase Bank into simulating that your score is where it ain't because you didn't have access to that card. Now you created a racket. That's where I've seen people actually get investigated up on the RICO, which is a Racketeering Influence Corruptions Organization Act. Right? Because you're creating organized crime for people to be able to get access to funding that under normal circumstances they wouldn't have access to. So it doesn't sound serious until you're the one up on the investigation, until you're the one trying to squirm and wiggle your way out of stuff with paperwork. And then they throw that RICO above you to where it all gets shut down because they have that ground to stand on. Now, under normal circumstances, the average little trade line Joe here and there probably wouldn't get hit with a RICO, but they do have that card to play with. And you just don't want to be the one that's applying for a mortgage. Somebody else's address is on your mortgage, because when they do add you to a trade line, this is the fourth thing that happened. Their address of the person who owns that card goes on your credit report as an address. And when they ask for an explanation and you lie in that mortgage application on there, you just committed mortgage fraud at that point, because now you couldn't really explain why this address from Boomhouse, Iowa is on your credit file, and you've never lived in Boomhouse, Iowa, and you said that you had access to that address, which means now that's mortgage fraud. And I've seen people under investigation with that. So if you don't want to get caught up into that, you want to make sure that you're doing things the right way. I've even created a free dispute software for consumers that they can go through, import their credit monitoring, and pick their dispute options themselves without having to pay a credit repair company. Until they trust to be able to pay a credit repair company, they can do it themselves and have access to the same thing that credit repair companies have, just by going, shameless plug, well, I don't really get paid off it, Free Dispute Now, right? Where they can literally just go to freedisputenow.com, import their credit file, go through, pick the reasons that's wrong, and actually send those letters out that way, if they just don't want to get ripped off by these people. And then, therefore, we even have a Facebook group where we educate people for free, so that if they are ready to say, hey, you know what, I don't want to really be doing this, I'm kind of tired, I got a job, I'm busy, then therefore we have different companies we can actually recommend them to, but they'll understand the process and know what to look for at that point. So that's the steps that we did to protect the consumer, so that they can run from these things, because people selling CPNs and telling people that they're legit. It's a credit privacy number, you can do this. If anybody tell you that you can apply for something to get a loan, but then tell you you can't apply for a mortgage with it, don't file taxes with it, that sounds fishy in the first place. So to put anything other than your Social Security on the line, your real Social Security on the line, number on the line that asks for a Social Security number, is wire and mail fraud. So you want to make sure that you want to prevent those federal charges, because getting that apartment is just, it's not worth it. So those are the things that I would say look for in the first place. And also people promising results or promising that you will be finished with the program within a certain amount of time, because they can't control the laws. The laws is the only thing that can get account deleted. You just got to learn how to leverage those laws, put the burden of proof on the bureau, get them to make a mistake, call them on their mistake, and then hold them liable. Therefore, you can really put it into litigation till it get removed. And then therefore that suppression will last a long time, because now you can do that without even having to pay anybody. So those are the things, and those are tips that I would give to protect this, to protect the consumer, and to have them to know what to look for.
And you guys can clearly see, someone who is a hack, someone who is not legitimate, cannot just go and talk about this thing that fluently, that in depth for that long. It was harder for Derrick to talk about himself than it was for him about 6 minutes on this credit education. And that tells you that he is very fluent, and he's been in the game and can tell you what to watch for. And when we touch back on stuff like, a couple hairs stood on my back. He said RICO and racketeering and stuff like that. I just, I was like, man, how can that possibly? Because let's put it like this. Let's say you're one of those people, and this is for you criminals out there. Let's say you start down that road or whatever, and let's say in 3 months' time, you make $300,000-$400,000 doing this or whatever, because you caught on fire and you're pumping it out. Then you get caught. So let's say you had to make a $300,000-$400,000 restitution, but had $200,000 in lawyer fees.
But the restitution is always about 3 times what the person really made.
Oh wow!
Because the bank
didn't know that.
So I've seen the actual investigation in place with my buddy. Right. And I told him 100 times, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. Bro, it ain't that serious. Right. But like you said, a quick $300,000-$400,000. So when the first thing that they're going to do, and a lot of people don't realize the agreements when they get the software, right? Any kind of software that you get, they have to turn it over to the Department of Law before you even know that they get it. A lot of the times when, if it's a criminal investigation, right? If they're criminally investigating, they got to turn it over. Now, if it's just attorney-client privilege to the extent that criminal. And that's why when people call me, if the conversation
even starts to imply that you may have done something criminal, I have to stop the conversation right there and say, hey, get a lawyer. Now your lawyer can talk to me.
Right. Most definitely.
Be protected. But at that point, if you talk to me and they say, hey, because there's stuff they can request from me and I could tell them, yeah, go jump off a porch or whatever, because it's not criminal, but at the moment it becomes a criminal act, which usually is relative to trust fund recovery, which is payroll taxes. Are you just all out committed fraud, like a PPP, IDL loan or whatever, and you don't have the substantiating documents? You're in trouble.
What I found out was it's a business move on their part, right? Just looking down into it. So think about it. If you're Chase, right, and you found out that this person really didn't have the score that they did. Now you notice the rate that they're doing soft pulls or account reviews. The moment that you had that 750, and then all of a sudden 2 months later that all of these accounts that they based on, falls off because it was a trade line from somebody, then they reduce your limit. But also that's when they start the investigation too, once they start seeing these trends. So you could take a person like Chase, and this is why I was talking about a 300,000 restitution. You might have ripped them off for 300 grand, right? But the restitution, what Chase is going to do is they're going to try to probably write off $75,000 worth of investigation costs to them. Now, did it cost them 75? We don't know, right? But the thing is now you're going to be left holding that restitution bag, because now you got to pay for the investigation. You got to pay for all of their legal fees to investigate you, and that's going to be a part of your restitution too. So he made about 500,000, and he owed about 1.5 million back.
And still may have to do 30 on top of that.
Well, he had to do 6. He actually got 2 more left, and this was on the credit side. So he's in for another 2, but I heard he was getting out in about 90 days, actually.
Yeah, I'm sorry. The way I like cigars and whiskey, I just can't.
My daughter trying to go to college. Look, I got a son who I can't miss a basketball game, man. I get introduced to this stuff left and right. Hey, can you do this? I'm like, bro, I just don't want to be the one holding the bag. Can you imagine my daughter? They live in this lifestyle to have to. I don't know what'll happen if I go to prison. I don't want to just be that irresponsible for I don't know what's going to happen to them if I have to go to prison for some crazy stuff for a few dollars.
Right. And that's the key point. Like, understand, like, y'all may hear us sitting here talking about, 3 million here, 10 million here, 500,000 here, and thinking, well, but when you really are in the room with money and in the conversations with money, this number doesn't seem that big, because there's a point where it's just money, and it's really the processes. The dollar amount is irrelevant. It's all about the processes, so
the delta is still the same.
right, exactly. So I need you guys to understand, when you get into the mechanics of business operation, it doesn't matter. You don't need to be impressed if somebody says they had $1 million in sales versus somebody that said they had $80 million in sales. Do you realize you could do $50 million and still be considered a small business?
Big time.
You can do $10 million and actually take a loss. So you got to understand the mechanics of what goes into this. And I implore you guys for the 1,000th time to check the paperwork, validate the information, validate the people that's giving you the information. Case in point, I've been following Derrick now since 2016, I want to say, late 2000.
End of 2015, I think we connected. Yep.
Yeah. And, it's like, in that time period, we may have had 3 or 4 messenger exchanges or what have you, but what I watched him do is remain consistent. I've watched people attack him and go to myself, this not going to go good for them if they keep on.
But I realized, though, it had to happen, man. So these attacks, they it's part of growth, man. So, when you think about it, if the average person start a tax company, right? Who are the first people they're going to go attack? H&R Block, companies like that. Or if they start because these are just big regular tax prep companies. They ain't made a design to like do businesses. We talking about just like regular W-2 type people. So those are the people they're going to go attack. So in the credit repair industry, the first thing people they hate is Lexington Law. But Lexington Law ain't did nothing to nobody. The way they run their business, they've been in business since 96. Obviously, something working for them. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say they're the best or the worst at anything, but what I'm going to say is they got their client base. They do what they do with their client base. Ain't got nothing to do with me. So, but in 2015, you notice I wasn't getting attacked because, I mean, I was still growing and still doing whatever. As you grow, it's just going to come. The only people I worry about attacking me is the IRS at this point. It doesn't matter. Like, look, because I'm telling you, I don't, like I said, I cut off. I just wish I had you because I was paying, I was only hiring single mothers because I thought I was helping, right? So no matter how big your heart is, IRS and them don't care about that, right? Because my intention was, man, they can still keep their benefits if I pay them under the table. But then when them IRS come in and they, when you got to get rid of them and then they go file for unemployment and you ain't been paying taxes and then the second one do that and then they get told like, hey, this and that. And then when it's time to, then they go report you. And then now you got huge tax bill.
To understand is kind of like the whole Lion King thing. It's they call it the circle of life, but this is the circle of business, and again, intention. I think that only works in a murder trial.
Yeah.
But on the financial side, intention means absolutely nothing. Plus, understand this. You guys hear me say this all the time. Self-preservation is not selfishness. And you are not helping yourself by paying someone under the table because that is now money that you have spent legitimately in the production of income, but because you didn't do it the right way.
Right.
Now you can't even really claim that.
Because then they try to dodge payroll taxes, but you pay the money out. And that's a whole accounting thing, not having an account because you're scared to pay them, but not realize that's going to save you money. But if I paid you $1,000 and then got the payroll tax, it's going to cost me a little extra because I got to pay my portion of the Social Security, medical, whatever, right? So by trying to dodge that, I risk not being able to write off the whole money that I paid them in payroll, though. So now I'm still going to find a deduction for it. But so if I paid you $100,000 and I'm trying to dodge my portion of the 15.3%, that's still going to be. That's like, let's say that's 8% or whatever it is, 7 point whatever. So I'm still trying to dodge.
Basically, you tried to deduct $7,500 and got stuck with $100,000 bag.
And then if I pay
in actuality, that 7.5% is actually still going to come out of your bottom line and not taxable on the income side. So it's just not. It's just
tax deductible. So I'm going to lose the whole tax deduction by trying to by trying to dodge a percent. I just never. So that's kind of like when I said people who come into business that hope they grow and plan to grow, they got to have an attorney and got to have a CPA or EA. It's no way you can plan to grow. And the way that I look at it is, if you ain't really making no money, your CPA bill ain't going to be too high anyway because they ain't going to have too much stuff to work with. You see what I'm saying? So it's not like $10,000 a month bill because you ain't even got enough stuff to have to be paying them $10,000 a month on yet anyway, right? But if they watching you when you do have that viral month, I've seen people lose their whole business behind 1 month of growth that they ain't planned for. They went from they made $100,000 the whole year. I watched the girl make $800,000 on a Black Friday sale, but she was still a sole proprietor. Never got her stuff set up. Somebody was telling her, man, because I can't give legal or tax advice or any of that, but somebody was telling her, do the 2553 or whatever forms they had to sign, like, hey, so she did an LLC, but she never elected to get taxed as an S Corp. She never built the board out, never did anything that probably wouldn't have. For instance, if somebody wanted to convert over to, just say if they did an LLC and wanted to convert over to an S Corp, right? And they about to make $100,000. It ain't gonna cost them $5,000 to do that, is it?
No, you're looking at a couple $100.
$100 that she was failing to do. So all she had to do is pay a couple $100, right? But she failed to do that. Now look at the 15.3%. She automatically gonna hit with in self-employment. So at that 100 grand, she's paying 15,300. So that means you can't even make $1 without getting Uncle Sam 15.3 cents, right? Behind you're paying a couple $100 to y'all to get it done, and that's
the self-employment tax. That's not even the
that
income
ain't got nothing to do with the federal tax or any of that, right? Yeah. So we just talking about 15.3 off the rip.
And this is how people, again, this is when we go back to the tax planning. You know, I tell everybody all the time, you know, first and foremost, there's not a cookie cutter approach. You do not use the same technique for everybody. There's thresholds and different things to consider, even industries in which to consider. And so you can't just arbitrarily throw a process out there that is supposed to work for everybody. It's just not going to be healthy, and it makes it really diminishes your integrity as a professional. But I see a lot of people doing this, you know, and then I see people that give good advice but bad timing. They'll say, well, it's pointless to have an S-corp if you're not making at least $150,000. Really? Is that
right.
what you're doing? Like, so you're telling me it's okay to pay 15% on $150,000 when I don't have to do it? Like, you know, there's some other things that just have to factor in that, and that's the importance of having a plan and having a professional, you know, like invest in. You guys have to understand that. Okay, if you ever heard the song, it used to be my favorite song. We used to use it as theme music for the show in the early days. "Paid the Cost to Be the Boss" by James Brown. There is there's what we call a pay to play. You know, a ticket of admission, and what you'll find is, there's always going to be somebody that wants to watch the game from outside the fence or try to crawl through a hole or, you know, all of these different things to get access. But the people whose access are protected, you know, are the ones that buy the ticket. And the ticket is cheaper and less embarrassing than that usher coming over and say, excuse me, sir, man, I see your stub, you got to go. So you have to shift your paradigm. You know, when you want to call yourself a business owner, when you want to call yourself an entrepreneur, you have to get out of that, you know, hustle mentality. And when I'm saying hustle in that regard, I'm not talking about the get up and grind, get it in. I'm talking about hustle in the sense of trying to get over. Y'all know what the hell I'm saying. You people that just want to get over on everything every time. Understand? Derrick, do you know how many times I see people pass up $10,000-$15,000 of legitimate deductions in credit, trying to take $500 and $600 of illegitimate foolishness?
Oh, all the time. I can only imagine.
I mean, and it's like, who told you this? Well,
I saw it in a Facebook group.
Yeah, those kind of things. And you know, sometimes I just want to jump off the building with that. That's usually when I just get up and cut a cigar and light up. Like, I'm taking the rest of the day off. I can't
deal with it. No, and see, what's crazy is these conversations that we're having have to continue. They have to continue because the easy way out just seems the route to go, right? And I think that continuous education, especially, you know, just having this Boss Talk Radio, if you wouldn't have did it, who's going to do it? So I just want to go ahead and commend you for having this, because I can vouch and tell you, like, without having the proper financial planner, that's the quickest way to lose everything. Mm-hmm. Like the stuff that you're doing and making yourself available. You're going to have people that say, oh, he just telling me this because he want my business. Well, are you going to give somebody your business who don't tell you anything, who don't caution you for anything? And then when it's time to go, either way, they're going to have to come see you. The earlier, the cheaper it's going to be, because now if I got to get you out of an emergency, I'm going to bust your head at that point because you had access to me at that point, you know, beforehand.
Well, yeah, and I tell people all the time, preparation is less than representation. You know, it's just the nature of the beast. This is a legal service over here, and this is protecting you from the need for this legal service over here. And you talked about, you gave an example with a young lady that made $800,000 in a weekend or some number like that.
Crazy Friday. Yeah.
And, you know, this is one of those things that nobody on the web is talking about. You heard it here first on Boss Talk Radio. Well, actually, you heard it at Boss 2020 last year when we talked about it. But guys, understand that the federal tax system is a pay-as-you-go system. That's the first part you have to understand. That's why, as employees, before you ever get your check, it's gone. Right. So, but as a business owner, you're basically entrusted with the power to allocate that money back, when the time comes. What I often see, and it's not because you guys are trying to do something wrong, it's really because you don't know. So I'm going to give you the game right now. $1 million a game for free. All you have to do is tune in. Tell you the ticket is always less. So here's the thing. Estimated taxes. If you are not paying estimated taxes, here's the consequence to that. Here's what usually happens. You start to put sweat equity and, all your personal investment and credit and everything into your business to get it up and running, get it going, get it growing. And then you're telling yourself, when I get across this threshold of profitability, I'll hire an accountant. And then here's what ends up happening. You have what Derrick talked about, what was this hoped for but unplanned moment of success, and now you find yourself in another tax bracket. And you forget about that at that point. Huh?
That you didn't plan for, by the way.
That you didn't plan for. And then what ends up happening is now you want to think about, okay, I want to reinvest in my business in this way, this way, and this way. And now it's time to file your tax return and you're hit with a tax liability, but you've spent that profit because you didn't think about that part. And now you have a tax bill and all of these other commitments that you've financed out. You've leveraged credit against this cash or whatever. And now you're stressed. And the first time, a little screw comes out the wheel, the whole thing is going to fall apart. Derrick, before we get out of here, because I don't think we really covered this in the educational way I would like to do so, can you really talk about, because I don't think we do enough of it in our community, can you really talk about the purpose, the real purpose, not the 1980s version and since then, but the real purpose of credit and how it should be utilized?
So credit is only to be used to build wealth, right? So the way that I look at it is, if I see an investment opportunity, right? Like I've been buying businesses lately, but I don't use my own money to buy business. So the way that I look at money, right? My money is to stack so that my kids and my kids' kids can use. And I need to use credit to keep stacking that money, to stack that money, to stack back so that they can use that for leverage down the road, right? I look at credit as credit is a backwards way of working. So a lot of people, like you said, one of the main things you said is, Uncle Sam get the money when you working before you get to see it. So if I take the credit side of it, so take the average person who wants to raise $100,000 to start, start a business, and it takes them 2 years. Now they work in a 9 to 5. So by the time they pay for the Medicaid, Social Security, all of this other stuff, about 20% of their check getting hit. So that means they're saving at a 20% rate coming out on the front end because of, that's equivalent to paying 20% interest, right?
40%, but
yeah, 40. But what I'm saying, I'm being nice here, right? They throw a simple number because I want to align it with the interest rate. So now with the interest rate being 20%, you saving at the same, but you getting the money up front. So now at the point of, let's say if I could even get the loan at 5 to 10%. All I got to do is just create a business with it or create a revenue stream with it to get the return. It's just like anything. I put something else in. I just need the return to be higher. So you can use credit. That's what people do in the stock market, right? I put it here. The percentages went up, and then boom, I'm getting a return on my investment. Credit is the same thing. So credit gives you that shortcut to create an idea, to create a profit, to use the profit to buy the asset. I meant to buy the liability. I would never in my life, ever, again, because I was the main one doing it, right? So I would use credit to create an asset that's going to give me a return on investment higher than the interest rate, what's called profit at that point. Take that profit and then invest that profit into the liability or spend that profit onto the liability, because we're going to have liabilities regardless. Just don't use credit directly for that liability. Use credit to build wealth to pay for that liability. So now let's say if I just bought a business for $1 million and I ain't used none of my money, right? And I know like people think that number is high, but it really ain't when you start talking about buying businesses, right? So I was like the third, fourth biggest software. And then it was easier to, let's just hypothetical, right? And it's easier to take $1 million and just boom, I want to go ahead and buy this company, right? I'm going to come on board, but I want to keep you as the CEO on for a $300,000 a year salary. Because now what a lot of people don't realize is people who dump their money into it, or people who use their credit to actually buy all kind of liabilities, they're not making money with it. I'm using the credit to buy the business and then let the CEO, because now I can generate $2 million a year out of this business. CEO is the only overhead. I got to just develop it $300,000 a year. I done took $1 million loan out, got $1.7 million a year profit built on that. I can turn that into a $10 million, business overall, sell it for $10 million. Now that $1 million that I had, the CEO gonna earn his salary through sales, right? Now all of a sudden I just use the bank's money to create a multi-million-dollar buyout. So you can do that on a smaller scale, right? So from a smaller scale, you got stuff out here called Turo. You got stuff called Airbnb. You got stuff that you can do with anything, right? You can literally go and get a $20,000 loan right now, create a website business, hire a bunch of developers overseas, put $5,000 into marketing. So it's so many things that you can do. Sell websites, $200. Build templates out. You selling website templates, $200-$300. We just dropped a template website building company to where you get your site built out the next day. You just got to go put your information in the about us section, and we made $30,000 in a week. So, and that's from less than putting $5,000 in. So credit is used to take the money out or the investment. So when people think, oh, it's going to cost $10,000 for that business, start thinking that, oh, it'll cost $10,000 credit line for that business. So this is at the rate that the credit line will be paid off to be able to get more available. Take that profit and then start buying that liability from that. So it's not about getting your credit fixed to go get that Lexus to make the stunt on people at church. It's about getting 10 people together. Y'all all work on y'all credit together. All of y'all go buy the Lexus dealership so that now all y'all stunt from everybody who goes in, because you ain't stunting by buying that Lexus. The people who at that Lexus dealership who got together and used their credit to buy the Lexus dealership, they're the ones winning, because you got to go in there and get your oil change. You got to get your upgrade, and then they probably going to sell you the new model Lexus when it come out. So the thing is your credit has to always be used for new opportunity. It can't be used for that. So I would never spend cash on a liability. I would use credit to create a stream that's going to actually return the profits to buy that liability, so I never lose at that point.
I think that is the single most in-depth explanation and example. I don't think it can get more clear than that. They sell ear flush at Walmart for $15. There's some books you can read, but I don't think I've ever heard a clearer explanation for the utilization of credit. Now, here's where oftentimes people present a conflict. They say, well, George, you're always talking about ownership. You have something against credit. Derrick started off by saying credit is used to buy opportunity.
Yep.
Credit is used to buy opportunity.
I'm against credit.
It's not an opportunity. A department store card is not an opportunity.
Nope.
Derrick defined opportunity as something that has a return on investment higher than the percentage rate it's going to cost me to buy that opportunity. I don't think it get no damn clearer than that. What else can I say to you? Matter of fact, I don't think we need to have Boss Talk Radio no more. That was everything right there. Just, where do we go from there?
And because people say that all the time, like, oh, credit is bad, credit is bad. That just means that their mindset is stuck on using credit to buy that Nissan, buy that Lexus. You see what I'm saying? And my question is, if the reason why credit has to be used is, come on, I know in my community, I can't think of 3 people I can go and borrow $50,000 from right now.
Mm-hmm.
And if I do, they're going to tell me how to run my business.
Oh, how to run
I come and say, hey, George, I need to borrow $50,000. I'm going to get a million questions. What this business is going to be about? All right, hey, you need to do it this way. And now you loan me the money. Now I got to listen to the way you want me to do it. But if I can use my credit, go to the bank, I can run it how I want to run it.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing about it is, if life happens and I can't pay my credit card off, or if I can't pay that bank off, I can settle with that bank for for 30%. So I don't get sued on it. But if I lose $50,000 in cash, I done lost all that. So it has to be only for an investment opportunity.
That's a whole nother deep conversation there. And we have some questions popping up, but I wanted to quickly hit this topic too. There's this narrative being perpetuated by some people. I'm not going to call no names. They're not CFPs. They're not CPAs. They're not even, they have no financial prowess, but they claim to be claim to have credit repair knowledge and how to use credit and crypto and so forth and so on. But here's what always seemed to be missing. And so I want to talk about this with somebody who has resources.
Mm-hmm.
So I can use other people's money to buy stuff. So I don't need no cash, right?
Yeah, you need cash.
No, cash is dead. I saw it on Facebook. Cash is dead.
Well, I mean, if you're going to return a profit, what is your profit going to be in?
They didn't talk about that, but they said if I use the credit, because cash is dead, I don't need no cash.
Well, the whole goal is to get cash. I got to use my credit to be able to get the cash. I just don't want to use cash to get the cash. I already had the cash. Why not use credit to get more cash?
And I did that on purpose so y'all could just hear how crazy.
Yeah, that's people. Man, they listen.
So, you have several businesses going on, and you just mentioned that you're into buying businesses now, and you're using credit to buy the businesses. So you don't get credit bills like a credit card bill or line of credit bill, or like you don't have to pay on none of this.
You got to pay on all of it. I mean, they're gonna want to. Nobody ain't just gonna hand you $1 million without expecting $1 million back. You can't give credit back when they give you credit. You got to give money back.
Wait, so you tell me you paying this back with cash?
Yeah. So you got to turn that credit into cash, then use that cash to pay it back, and then you keep the extra.
Now here's where the problem comes in, ladies and gentlemen. If you use that credit and you use it for something that does not produce cash, now you have to use your cash to pay it back.
That's it.
This is what I tell you is the misuse of credit. So I wanted to clear that up because people think I just have everything against credit when I'm talking about ownership or whatever. But I need you guys to understand there's a method to the madness. You're not getting the method from Facebook University. You need to follow Derrick Harper. We're going to put his link up here in just a second. But somebody had a question, and I have no idea what they're talking about. Tell me about the new change of credit, FICO 10.
Gotcha. So FICO 10 is more of a new model that they were looking into. So you got where they were talking about trended payment data, right? So basically, all the other FICO models, so because FICO started in 1956, right, with Bill Fair and Earl Isaac. So as they start building models out, look at the FICO scoring model as a Windows computer. I like to just explain, and then look at like Vantage that came in 2006 as like Mac. So every year or every few years, you might have a new Windows computer that come out. Now, a lot of people might say, well, what's the right Windows computer? Now, if I got a Windows 98 that still works, I built it out, I gutted it, and I'm still using the 98 platform, it might not run the updates like I need because new things came in, right? So like you didn't have utility bills when FICO 2 started. So there was not like Verizon accounts. There were not like things like that once they charged off or once they went into collections that popped up. So therefore, when you had like FICO 2 scoring models, and believe it or not, Experian for the mortgage score, they still use Experian version 2 FICO, right? But every different model adds or takes away something. So you have FICO 8, which is the most commonly used for like regular or traditional lending. Then they came up with FICO 9. FICO 9 was supposed to be the one. It was going to change the game, right? Then you had Ultra FICO and then all of that. So FICO 9 came in and it weighed heavily, or it was used heavily just in utility, like getting a Verizon account, getting a Sprint account, getting the light bill, getting whatever, right? But traditional lending like Wells Fargo didn't give you a loan based on FICO 9 because FICO 9 did not score medical debt at all, right? So FICO 10 is basically an algorithm that takes the trick away from people being able to run up a $5,000 debt. So for instance, 30% of your score is the utilization or debts owed, right? Let's say if you had a $20,000 credit card, over the last 23 months, you max it out at $20,000. What people did was find a loophole. Let's say I'm going in to try to apply for a mortgage now. What some people did, don't try this. Don't say, hey, Derrick told me this on Boss Talk Radio to do, because I'm telling you what people tried not to do this, though. But so what people would do is they'll go on American Express and they'll put a payment in for $19,900, right? And knowing that the $19,900 isn't in the bank, they'll do that the day before the statement rolls or the night before. They'll do it like at 10 o'clock at night, knowing that the statement is going to get cut off at midnight and roll. What happens is American Express will instantly credit your account, and now you got a $100 balance. And then it's going to roll. The statement is going to report that $100 balance because they don't supplement it when it bounces, right? So now what happens is your utilization went from 100% down to 1%. Right. So now your score just shot up 120, 130, 140 points. You went from a 600 to a 740. Now you qualify for the best rate on that house. Right. And then you're going to turn around the next month. Then they did it again to keep that utilization low so they can close on the house. What FICO 10 did is they say, you know what? We know that trick. Now what we're going to do is we're going to incorporate what's called trended payment data. Trended payment takes the last 24 months on that credit card. So if you do try to do a shotgun usage, that method that last month, it's still not going to put your utilization at 1%. It's going to put it at about 98, 99% because it's going to take the last 24 months combined and see what kind of overall trended payment user you are over the 24 months. And that's what FICO 10 is actually incorporated. But unless Fannie Mae adopts that method, because they can choose what model they want to. A bank can choose what FICO score model they want to go with. Just because it's available doesn't mean that all the banks are actually going to adopt that model to go and do lending on. Because the only ones that adopted the FICO 9 was like utility companies, like getting cell phone bills, getting like accounts like that. Not for like car loans and things like that. Nobody was really adopting. No banks really adopted like FICO 9 for traditional lending. And it's not proof that they'll do FICO 10. It's just more of them having that information that they on hand. They might pull that as a backup, but we don't have proof that Fannie Mae gonna go with FICO 10. They just might have it as a backup to see how you've been paying over the last 24 months. And then if they did a simulation on FICO 10 to see what your trended payment is. So that's basically all FICO 10 is gonna be about.
And yet another example of you can't do this when your credit repair is a side hustle. You have a scheduled live where you just talking, but it ain't taking no questions.
Right.
Maybe that was just off the script. Lou Slim, he did that thing. I hope they broke it down to you because I just learned something that I didn't even know about. I meant to put this up earlier. If you guys have any questions before we let Derrick get out of here, the link is on the screen. you can copy the link and pull you right into the broadcast to ask questions, because our guests ain't scared over here because they're the experts. But Derrick, for those people that want to follow you, want to get in touch with you, let me go ahead and type this in. Where can they find you at?
Yeah, man, I give my number away. Just don't call me at 2:00 in the morning because I got a crazy wife, and especially if you're a woman, right? So, but you shoot me a text first. A lot of people blindly call and they notice that I don't answer when they blindly call. If I don't get a text where I can lock you in on my line, I just don't take blind calls like that because I don't know how long the conversation is going to lead me into. I don't want to get stuck on a random hour conversation. So text me first. Hey, this is such and such from such and such. Let's connect. And then we can connect that way. And then that way, it's easier. So 678-961-0086 is my number. Also, Instagram is at Derrick A. Harper. At Derrick Harper Sr. DerrickHarper Sr. So, and on Facebook, I'm Derrick A. Harper Sr. So if it don't have the senior behind it, it's probably a fake page.
Good identifying mark on that. It was Derrick A. Harper Sr. on Facebook, right?
Yep.
Okay, and we got that up on the screen. And one more again, I'm gonna put the link up if you guys want to drop in and ask questions before we let Derrick get out of here. We had one more over in the comment. Oh, they said thank you for that FICO 10 explanation. But man, want to thank you again for dropping in with us on Boss Talk Radio and dropping this knowledge. We got some unexpected parts out of here. Usually a show runs somewhere between 60 and 90 minutes. We went in overtime, like really getting it in. Flowing, it just does what it do. And you've given us so much information today. And I hope you guys took away some key elements there. One, the importance of the attorney and the accountant, and I'm going to add to that the relationship with a banker. Too often you guys are running in, dropping your money, or running in and pulling out your money, and you only know the girl that's at the teller where you're cashing your check or something, that and that's the extent of your entire relationship. Get to know the people at your bank, develop relationships, send them a basket or something. Hey, I can't tell you how far that goes, especially when you actually have an opportunity and you need them to sign off on something when they know you. The conversation is a little different. I think you can attest to that right there.
That conversation is everything, because it's when a person looking across at a stranger, they're going by the book. But when a person knows you, you come in, you always happy, and they're a little embarrassed to tell you no at that point. They gotta tell you no, they're gonna tell you no with the way to make it right.
Right. That part, like, well, I can't do this, but if you had,
right. If you had this, and this for 30 days straight, conversation may be different. Because they can't legally kind of tell you why, right, from the business perspective. But, hey, you a buddy at that point. You the guy that bought pizza in. You the guy that bought donuts in. You the guy that remembered the daughter's birthday and you wanted to just go ahead and, so there's a lot of different things that, and you don't have to just build it with one bank. In the event that bank says no, go to the next one you got a relationship with.
That part, somebody said something about baskets and eggs. I ain't telling you what to do with your money. I'm just saying it doesn't have to be one bank. That's all I'm saying about that.
Yeah, exactly.
So that was a major lesson. And then probably the greatest lesson today was actually in the title of the show, which was earn the credit and then leverage it. And I stress that earn the credit part because I want you guys to get out of what Derrick calls this popcorn mindset about, getting results and whatnot. So earn the credit, to go about the process the right way. You can follow Derrick. He gives more information. He gives more information in the library. So, go ahead and follow him and learn the proper ways to do this. Go through the methods and the time. If you ever checked out the Boss Motivation episode about taking shortcuts. This is one of those examples where you don't want to take the shortcut because when you get there, you might not have what you need that you would have if you go in the right way. So, and then of course the leveraging part, guys, not for the damn diamonds, not for the foreign whip, not for the 6-bedroom or whatever.
Right.
Leverage for income opportunities. Opportunities. The word for the day, boys and girls, is opportunity.
That is it. I mean, like when I got it, we lost everything. I foreclosed, we got repoed, but then we realized that we had rights. We realized that the broker and the developer were married, didn't disclose it in the settlement agreement during closing, therefore a RESPA violation, right?
Wow.
So I was able to get the foreclosure removed from the credit report. No such thing as a repo from a third-party bank. So, we went to Nissan, but Capital One was the lender. Capital One didn't write the contract, right? I did it through the broker who was the finance director or finance manager at the dealership. They sold that contract, which now makes it a promissory because only one signature on the agreement. They sold the contract, which means that it's not a repossession if they never had possession, right? So therefore, we got that removed, immediately went out and got a Jag. So a lot of people was like, what in the world? You went out and bought a Jag and a 650 BMW right after that. We found a website called Relay Rides. They call it Turo now. And we made $1,100 a month profit from each one of those cars and took that difference and actually bought a house with it. We brought out of pocket for our mortgage because we leveraged the credit to get those cars to use the profit from those cars to actually pay for the house.
Which we almost missed this.
Oh man, that's 2015 there, boy.
Hey, timeless works is timeless works. This is another example right here. I hope you guys can see the screen. Let me remove the link right here. But when they say the game is to be sold, not told, if the game is quality enough, understand that the instrumentation isn't in the education, but the application. You can know it, but you have to learn how to use it. And this is what we want for you guys. Pick up the book, Millionaire Credit Secrets by Derrick Harper. What do you want to leave the people with going out, Derrick?
Man, I would say it ain't going to happen overnight, but put a plan together. So even never reach out to a credit repair company without a plan of what you're going to do with good credit. Like a lot of people hit me up, hey, Derrick, I'm trying to get a car, help me with my credit. And you're going to start seeing why they all get ignored when they say that, because I have zero interest in helping somebody get a car. I have all the interest in the world to help you create a game plan of using your credit to build wealth. That's why I even have the Facebook groups, like the Hush Group community. I got a free entrepreneur resource group on Facebook. We're literally teaching people. Because a person will join an MLM real quick and try to get a downline, right? But then when they stop recruiting and stop paying in, they lose their whole downline. But what if you would have recruited 10 people? Like instead of getting your Mercedes and sizing somebody up to see who's doing the best, what if you recruit your 10 people, y'all sit at Starbucks, or y'all sit at Dunkin' Donuts, or y'all sit at the bookshop? Because people in the book club, people in the car club, people in the bike club, but how many people in a credit club? Why can't you be the person to create that credit club? You getting the information, you get in the game, get your 9 people. What if all 10 of y'all went and worked on y'all credit together? All of y'all went to the bank and got $50,000 a piece, which y'all can build with $500,000. Y'all just built the business. What if that 10 go get another 10 people? So why don't y'all create that instead of an MLM? Stop recruiting people in. And I'm not bashing MLMs or network marketing, but why don't you?
Okay, I'll do it for you.
Okay, but why don't you grab that 10? That 10 grab that 10. Now that's 10 businesses. That 10 grab that 10. That's 100 businesses in one community. If a little kid was shot.
Before you run away with that, I'm going to drop some stuff up in here because some people are going to hear Credit Club and they're not going to hear the other part of what you said. Right. The purpose of the club, again, was to get an income producing opportunity, create a business, buy some real estate or whatever, not just real estate for the purpose of having it on the portfolio, but an income producing property or whatever. Even if it's land, if y'all didn't know this, it's just a matter of time before that thing is completely legal across the states. You might lease it out as farmland. I'm just saying,
Right.
But this is the are y'all getting the mindset is what I want to know. I need somebody to type in mindset if y'all hear where we coming from on here. It's about the mindset. It's not about secrets and tricks and things of this nature. It's mindset and execution. So this wasn't part of it, but Derrick said find 9 people to form a credit club. I have a question for you.
Yep.
Because you probably can use his words that he just said and get 9 people to do that. But answer yourself this question. Do you have 9 people in your, you know what? I'm gonna help you out. Do you have 5 people in your circle that if you did have 50 grand, you would put it in with them in the interest of a business and allow the interest of the business to dictate the direction of the business, not anyone's individual ego? If the answer to that question is no, I challenge you to completely change your circle before the summertime.
That's it. It has to be. You're going to identify the people you need to build with. Because I'm so glad you said that, because nobody ever comes back with that. Because we want to build, but we want to choose the 10 people. And those 10 people might not have the same mindset as you. So if you do get that 10 people and they do see you leading, you're going to have to emerge as the leader. So if you scared to be a leader, this ain't for you, right? But if you get that 10 people and then that 10 people go get another 10 and y'all put 10 businesses in the community, if a little kid gets shot, y'all ain't got to march at that point. The mayor going to have to do something, because you're going to threaten to take those 10 businesses away, and then you're going to crash the economy.
Y'all weren't even ready for that one. Derrick the Hail Mary, y'all, and just tied the whole political system into that thing. And I don't know if y'all were the show we had. This was back in season 1 when I told you guys that it has to happen at the paycheck, not the polls. Yeah. And y'all like, you telling people not to vote. It's like, no, that's not what I'm telling you. But somebody had asked the question, well, how do you hold them accountable once they're in office? My daddy used to say, money talk. And you got to understand what real power is. An 800 credit score with somebody that went and turned that into money versus an 800 credit score with somebody that bought something to just shine on you to say, yeah, I had 800.
Yeah, that Lexus, you can't pull up in that Lexus and make the mayor move. You can pull up into 100 businesses. We taking them out of here.
Because now we're talking about jobs. Right. And jobs have power behind that. Y'all don't understand. Oh my God. Me and Derrick go a whole nother hour.
Their legacy is dependent on that.
Right. We go a whole nother hour on that. I ain't gonna even do that to y'all or whatever. But the moral of the story is the systems are there, people. You have to educate yourself on the how. When I tell you guys about life insurance, it's not about how to bury somebody without a fish dinner. Is about how to create generational wealth. When we have guests like Derrick on, it's not to give you a shortcut to getting an 800 credit score so you can go buy a new Escalade. Right. You know what? This is what I'm gonna do. This is what I want y'all to do, because I don't want y'all to think that we playing with this. Go. It may be on his page. You may have to dig back a little bit, but go find a post where they're just walking outside, getting ready to leave, and just walk through his driveway. He ain't playing over here. He Empire building. I need y'all to understand that this is doable, that this is accessible in there for you. He just gave you guys a few moments ago a way to quickly turn some credit into money or whatever, and that's why I had like I said earlier, I can throw a rock and hit 100 credit agents from this chair right now live. But the difference and the reason we had Derrick come on to do this is, number one, I knew he wasn't going to try to sell y'all something.
Oh no.
Number two, I've been following him long enough to know that the repair part is a tool. The real work is managing and executing the plan with the credit. I cannot stress this enough, guys. Turn the credit or use the credit for an opportunity. And so y'all don't say I didn't say that. Not an opportunity to stunt and shine and that sort of thing. Because what if I told you it's not about you? A lot of y'all say y'all why is y'all kids or whatever, but your actions don't align with those statements. You know what I mean? So again, I want to encourage you guys to start with 10 minutes a day. Find something online. Go to Derrick's page 10 minutes a day. He usually has a live like 2-3 times a week or whatever. Go to his page. Even look up Investopedia or something. Just do something to begin to have that paradigm shift. It doesn't take a whole lot, and what'll happen is just like going to the gym. At some point, you'll start to see results, and those results will be motivation enough to keep you going and to keep you engaged and keep you excited. I have a challenge for you. We're going to put out some challenges today, Derrick. I need everybody to, Derrick's going to tell you where you can go and pull your credit report. And we're going to do let's see, we're right at the top of March. So we have 10 months left. We're going to say 50 points. We're going to do a 50-point challenge. I want you guys to find your credit scores. Now, I'm not the guy to tell you about aggregate scores across the bureaus and all of that. That's not what I do. Go follow Derrick for that. But I challenge you to work on it where you just increase your score 50 points before 2022. That's part one. Part two, we want you guys to put a life insurance policy in place. If you do not have one, and if you do have one, and it's not one that generates income for you, because a lot of y'all don't know that exists or whatever. If it's not generating income for you, and no, I'm not just talking about whole life or universal life. This is why you have to talk with people like ourselves or whatever. But if it's not making money for you, reach out to myself. You can reach out to Derrick Easy, who's on my timeline. You can reach out to Kimberly Evans or Benny Evans, who's on my timeline. It doesn't have to be me. I know I'm not everybody's cup of tea because I tell y'all, I don't put no sugar on stuff. So you might have to go somebody do a little sweeter than me. I get that. And then the other part of it is I want you guys to, regardless of where it's at right now, I want you to save an additional $1,000 that we're going to, for the challenge we're going to introduce at the beginning of 2022, because we're going to make that $1,000 make money. So I want you to say, and I ain't talking about $1,000 next week, but for those of you that's getting these $6,000, $10,000, $12,000 tax returns or whatever, I challenge you to do even more because you're getting into the windfall or whatever. And here's the reality. If your tax return refund, whatever, was $6,000, if it was $4,000, you would have dealt with the $4,000. So pretend it's $2,000 less than what it is. Do a little bit more. Do whatever is necessary to put that money aside. We're going to change some financial futures. But the greatest challenge of all that we have for you, if you cannot identify immediately without a whole lot of effort, 5 people that you would commit $50,000 with of your own funding that you would then go into business with, Start changing your circle. Drop them damn Facebook friends. I don't care if it's family members. It's time to change your circle, because what you're going to find is, as you move through this timeline of, or not timeline, as you move through these income levels, certain people can't go. I don't know why it is. I didn't make the rules. And what you're going to find is, as you move through these income levels, the conversation just changes. You know, things that used to be real impressive to you won't even matter to you, because the conversation is different. You know, we're able to sit on here and have 3, 4, 10, $5 million conversations or whatever for one reason. We understand it's not about the amount, it's about the process. The rest is just, that's just numbers. Same I tell people about a tax return. It's like the numbers are what they are. Some people are like, I'm not good at numbers. Hell, they go where they go. It's gonna be
right. That's it. It's it's plug and play. So.
Man, thank you again for dropping in on us and leaving us with that. For those of you that did not leave your name, that's tuning in from Facebook. If you did not need to leave your name, I can't properly shout you out because you just show as Facebook user. For those of you that's tuning in on YouTube, thank you, and share the video. Share the video on Facebook if you're watching there. And of course, you can catch the playback, the video playback on talkbossradio.com, and you can catch the audio playback on any of your podcast players, iHeart, Stitcher, Google Podcasts. We're on all of that. Spotify. Go ahead and drop in. Hey, Sharonda, how you doing? Give them one more, Derrick, and we're going to get out of here.
Oh, man. What you want me to give them before I go?
You know what? I want them to engage you. So give them a way to, besides texting you and whatnot, where can they go back and get these receipts that shows that you've been in the game?
Facebook. Yeah, just go back. I got so many Facebook videos that go back years. I've been going live since like 15. When they started live,
right?
Before, since Periscope came in, you had to go back live. So, and I got pictures and things like that dating back to like 08, 09, going over credit files while I wasn't even in Afghanistan. So you can see that, you'll be able to see. So Facebook, I'm not really on Instagram like that. Somebody came in and they run my Instagram. I get the messages now because they got the cross-platform thing, thank God. But Facebook, man, I like to connect with people on Facebook because I'm active on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
So let's connect on Facebook. You can go back and see all my memories and just everything.
And if you're interested in, that's a good one to leave them with. If you're interested in actually learning and developing a credit repair business of your own, where can they sign up for that information, Derrick?
Yeah, so I actually got a free training, 4 hours in depth of step-by-step of what they need to do to build a credit repair company, right? Not charging anything. It's creditmastercall.com, creditmastercall.com. And they'll be able to go through, and it's on autopilot. So it's on Evergreen. So you can, anytime that you want to start it, it's available. It starts every hour on the hour. So you'll be able to go.
That's a whole nother conversation. Evergreen. We had that conversation back at the beginning of the season. But guys, take back your time. Learn this Evergreen thing, man. The reason Derrick's able to do what he does and still be here to be with us on Boss Talk Radio, that was the word, Evergreen.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah. That's the only way you're going to have that business running without you. So.
But thank you again, brother, for dropping in on this. We'll be happy to have you back. If you launch any projects you want us to know about, just give us a holler over here, and we'll definitely get you back on.
Sounds good. Yeah, just connect with me, man, and they'll see what's coming. Got a lot of things in the works, so definitely be glad to work. And I always ask for feedback from other people. So we looking to buy businesses. We looking to partner with people who want to be faces of businesses. So we just want to connect with everybody.
Sounds awesome, and I hope that people take you up on that offer because you're not overnight. You've been tuned into Boss Talk Radio. Join us next week for another awesome episode with another awesome guest. I can't wait to drop this other project on you guys, man. I'm so geeked about it. I'm going to listen to it in the car right now, but like we'll get to that when we get to it. You've been tuned into Boss Talk Radio. We'll see you guys next week.
We could not continue to do our filing of our taxes in the traditional sense that we've been doing for so many years. So we opted to go ahead and take the advice from one of our friends that went ahead and referred us. And since he referred us, we said, we decided let's go ahead and check Elite 8 out, and we're glad we did. They were extremely very thorough, so that's part of the excitement that we really enjoyed with Elite 8. So some of the parts of the values that we really enjoyed was that they were, beyond the fact that they were trustworthy, very thorough, extremely responsive, and the fact that we could do things online just the same that we were able to do in the traditional sense.
Get behind the shield.